my speech today, my talk today, sorry, is going to be called Making a Spider into a Flower, and it's all about how we used to dev in the old days and how we dev now, and how developing has actually changed. I hope you don't mind if I call it deving, that's alright. I'm Rob Johnstone, nice to meet you. I come from Swansea, where there's a lot of people like this. Does anybody know people like this? Does it ring a bell? No? Right, well, I'm glad to be up in college because I kind of get away from people like this, which is good fun. I get into more of an intellectual crowd and can talk about things that I love, which is kind of technology and stuff, yeah? If you like this, you can. I went to Dowie School, which was in, it's a public school near Reading, and I did my GCSEs there, and just to make anyone feel better, I got a U and an N in my A-levels, and I'm still good at tech and stuff. It's about the closest I got to working for an international organisation. So, from there I went to North Oxfordshire College, because there's not many places you can go with a U and N, surprisingly enough. To do a BTEC and did a lot of filming and media and animation. We did stop motion, a little kind of Morph stuff, you know, like Wallace and Gromit, which was absolutely amazing. Loved that, really wanted to do it full time. So from there went to Bournemouth University and did a BTEC in multimedia communications, which basically is we have an empty engineering department and we don't know what to do with it. It was bubble or multimedia, but there was a lot about learning about engineering and sticking things together and compiling things in C and MOSFET, metal oxide field effective transistor, just stuff you don't need to know because our entire manufacturing base got outsourced to China. So what do we need to know about that stuff? But you know, sympathy to education, it takes time to catch up. I had to do that because they would only let in the best of the best, and one of the criteria to find the best of the best, or the easiest criteria, is what you get in your A-levels. I personally think your ability to retain information in a 3-hour period and regurgitate it as quick as possible is not a very good criteria for education, but that's the one we got. So unfortunately, just to get near to the Computer Centre for Animation, which is in Bournemouth University, I studied multimedia communications and did with an animator. From there I did this course, which was lots of engineering and boring stuff, you know, building circuit boards, blowing up capacitors, that was quite fun. But then living with animators and learning what they did as well, and 3D was starting to come through. Like Softimage and Myers Alias, which I learned at the same time. They were moving very rapidly. It was a fast-moving industry like web development is today, to be quite honest. So a little word about animation. When I finished the course there, I was lucky to become a runner in Soho, in London, and worked on a couple of films. None of you heard. They're all shocking, so don't worry about it. And then, unfortunately, this came out. If you ever get the chance, do watch this, because I watched this and I went, oh bugger, I better find something else to do, because it's very, very good. The guy sold his house to fund it, Studio Ghibli. He nearly went bankrupt, and he made it all back. He bought his house back on DVD sales. So, and I thought, I'm not going to do that. So, and my time with animation came to an end. And skip over my work history to get to this point, which is a little bit more interesting. When I came back from Thailand working in education there as a teacher and multimedia lecturer, I met my current wife's father, my future father-in-law, and he was running a PPI company. Now it was just him and a secretary, and he was like, could you design me a better web page for my business? I was like, dude, you don't need a better web page, you need everything automated. You need your entire company automated. If you want to scale this up and make a lot of money. So I told him that after about 10 cans of beer, and he said, yeah, well, let's talk about that. Luckily the alcohol kicked in, I said, no, let's talk about that tomorrow. We left it, and then the following day, with a bit of a hangover, picked it up with him, and then we came up with the foundations of what would be the lovely PPI industry that we know today. So if you get any phone calls saying you're entitled to thousands of pounds back, I'm afraid I was involved in that some way. So the system I designed for him was shocking. And before I go on, I'd just like to say one thing. Software and what stuff does It's two separate things, and I know we all work to create amazing software that looks absolutely beautiful, but at the end of the day, if it does something that someone wants, it will succeed. You know, you've only got to look at Craigslist and Reddit and things like that to see that if it actually fulfills a need, then you'll have people paying for it or using it in spades. And this is your classic Web 1.0 kind of interface, but up here you could type in a client's name and search over like 4,000 people, get all their claims straight away, where they're open, how long they've been open. You can search by account and postcode as well, which is a useful thing when they're on the phone. And then you go straight into the details. And the reason that this became such a success, because I built it over like 4 weeks, is not because it retained people's details and they're easily searchable. It's because you could select from over 109 lenders. And then when you selected one of the lenders that they could have got their PPI from, automatically populated their address. So very, very quickly to input things. At their height, they were doing 1,000 PPI claims a week, and each one of those PPI claims is worth about £600. So you can do the maths on that. And claim alarms to say at what stage claim had got to. So those were very easily settable. Actually, press the space bar. Yay! There we go. You can click. You can just pull down, say what alarm it is. Set it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months. Save, go on, and that would alert someone else in the company. Not a problem. You can see all the history there. But mainly, that was for call logs, but mainly, sorry, I'm going too fast, form letters is what the company did best. There's over 60 letters to go to the Justice, Ministry of Justice, Financial Ombudsman Services, the client, the lender, and it would automatically do all of these letters at a click. And it would do all your sums as well, so it would like do stupid thing like round up for the Batman. God knows how many millions the Batman's got out of rounding up pennies, which just must be millions. And then store these letters here, so you know exactly what's coming into the client and what's going away. And yeah, so I built that. That was used in. Has anyone here seen the call centre on BBC Three? Yeah. I was head of IT there for a bit. So we'll move. I haven't put any of that in here, so don't worry about that. But that's where it was used. It's used at Weekend UK. So before I go on and talk about the future of where I see deving going nowadays and software development, I'd just like to say a little bit about podcasts, because this is one area that I get a lot of my information from, and a lot of like-minded people get interviewed on just a vast array of podcasts that are around, and it's only through driving up to Cardiff or going to Swansea in the morning that I get to hear these, because I've got little families as well, so I don't get much time. And I'd just like to say that if you've got time, check out these guys, they're amazing. One lives in Vietnam, the other one lives in the Philippines. They're very, very cool, they're digital nomads, and they just shoot the breeze. You know, they talk about sales tactics. And this guy here called Omar Khan, he does a podcast, creative software that sells, and he does very, very good interviews with founders and people that are just have already established their SaaS businesses, so the techniques that they've used to get to where they are. Two very, very good resources. The only one, and these are also extremely good. This guy did a podcast about setting up a startup, and he did the fundraising on the podcast, which was really interesting. So he's interviewing a guy on the street going, will you give me $500,000? Please give me $500,000. What's it for? It's about this podcast, you'll be on it. Please use it. So it's quite an interesting concept for a podcast, to be quite honest. This guy here, Jason Kalkanis, I despise because he interrupts people. Just drives me insane. Yeah, highly intelligent guy, interrupts people. So that's enough about that. Yeah, so the future and where it's going. One of the things that has amazed me that hasn't come on is advertising. It just hasn't seemed to have made the leap between the printed page and the web. Where I worked previously, we still had clients coming in and going, oh, can you make sure that's above the fold? Oh, Christ, there is no fold, mate. It's different devices, different sizes. And 100% of people scroll anyway when they go to a screen. No one goes to a screen and goes, oh, I can only see half a picture, and close down the tab. They actually, scroll through the content and digest it, so there is no such thing. And these terminologies have been carried over from the print world and brought over to the digital world, and it's still hindering it heavily. But one of the things that, while I was preparing for this talk, and a couple of days after Leroy told me that I'd be here, I started noticing was the advertising banners that you get on web pages and how simplistic these are. These are still tied into pretty much search categories. So like I've got all my web stuff's, well, half of it's with GoDaddy. I'm migrating because I hate them. And I type in 123 reg, they do cheap emails, I move everything over, and then this follows me around the web for like a fortnight. But it's only connected to my search history. I've done that, Google. I've moved on now, I'm on other things. But they're still basing what they think I want off something I did a fortnight ago. So there's no predictive algorithms going on there, which I find really strange, because that's the future, is to understand where someone's been, where they are, and then trajectory, just like an arrow going into a board. If you know the arc of their search history and what they've done, then surely you can predict what they will need in the future. But this seems to have followed me around in a couple of places. DigitalOcean, I've got a couple of droplets there. They're advertising, and it's like $10 free, but I've already got an account. You know, you're selling to someone that isn't a customer, because you obviously can't cash in on that because you're already a customer. And finally, I looked into Udemy to teach some stuff on Django because I love developing in Python and stuff. And then Udemy starts following me around with this little kind of reminder pinging off in the corner. I wish Google would just do a little thing that goes in the corner there, just pings off and annoys you instead of taking up real estate on someone's page. By the way, has anyone heard of a massive advertising fraud thing that got revealed about 2-3 days ago? Something like £7.5 billion worth of online advertising fraud. About half of all online advertising either doesn't get seen by the client or gets clicked through by people that aren't clients. Oh, it's a massive thing, go check it out, it's really interesting because it's going to have massive ramifications, I think, for how the industry's going to change, to be honest. So yeah, coming on to that, is the next leap, and these are obvious things, you know, social and location. It's obvious that our search histories have been, our social histories have been tapped into. Like I'm on my phone, if I click on something on, like a link, like, oh, like me on Facebook, I always get, does anyone else get the direct messages that says like me on Facebook? Please say I'm not the only one. I'm the only one, right, okay. And I click on Facebook, I'm not logged in, I'm only logged in on Safari. But for somehow, no wait a minute, I'm not even logged in on Safari, I'm only logged in on the app. But some crafty underhanded things going on, and they managed to log me in on the web page, so I don't have to do any of that, seamlessly integrated across, you know, multiple apps, and you log in once on one of them, you're buggered, you've connected to bloody everything. Google's the same case again. I've got Google Analytics on my phone. Whenever I search, I see my name in the top right, I have to log out and then I re-log back in. So, you know, social's obviously going to be integrated in stuff that they recommend advertising. Location's another thing, that's massive. RFID is going to be huge with, you know, low frequency Bluetooth. That's going to be huge when you walk in a shop. It'll be able to tell if it's, you know, who you are, your phone, your MAC address, all that kind of stuff. Mind you, Apple's randomised the MAC address, so a parent's going to use beacons or something like that. But that's where it is or where it's going to go. But what hasn't been taken into consideration is things that where it's going to change. So location, proximity, how about the people around you? There's something that says you can judge someone by the 5 of their best friends. If you get the 5 best friends and you add them all together, then you've got a pretty good idea of that individual. So if they're all near you and they've got low frequency Bluetooth technology or RFID or whatever it may be, they'll be able to figure out you pretty much just by your location, unless you're delivering a pizza or something. Yeah, they'll be able to say, this is this type of person, this is how affluent he is, these are the types of people he likes, these are the social circles, these are his hobbies, these are, you know, almost down to your daily routine, as it were. And then I think that the final frontier will be building in things with time of day. So that Udemy ad will show up all day long. Udemy, you know, pressing F5 will be Udemy. But obviously I searched for that at 8 o'clock at night. So they will show me stuff during the day that's related to my work, on my work computer. Then I go home, do F5 a bit off the browser, and then it'll show Udemy because he's on his free time, he wants to look for other opportunities, all that kind of stuff. BBC says that on average, teenagers have 7 devices. Yeah, so you can imagine just one of these. I mean, the amount of sensors on one of these is insane. I mean, GPS, triangulation towers, microphone, gyroscope thingy. It's got all of those built in. But if you've got 7 of them, can you imagine if they're sparsely populated around the house? Yeah, and one thing I put in here is tonality. you don't really need to even study the words of what's going on in the conversation to understand the context of that conversation. So if a teenage girl has an argument with her mum and is elevated pictures and so forth, who's to say that Google doesn't tap into that and suddenly says, oh, you know, she might be looking for Runaways or Premier Inn for the night to get away from her mum, or whatever. And that's just based on the tonality, that's not even the words that you use. So these will all come into play as advertising becomes more complex, which is what I think.